Hey everybody, happy Sunday. I hope everyone is having a great day so far. How are y'all doing on this Sunday? Um I am happy that y'all are here on today. I know we were on the main channel. We had a long live yesterday, but I'm glad that some people still made it over here on the backup channel, okay? Let me go ahead and give a few shout outs. I give people some time to get in here, okay? Let's see here. Kimberly is here in the building. Happy St. Patty's Day to you as well, sweet baby Jesus. Miss Moon Magic. We have Crystal Lachelle in the building on today, present and accounted for. We also have Sheila here today with us. Rowie, I don't want to use her name. Let's see. Latasha is here. Sunshine, let's see. Okay, you're going to be in the bushes, Luna. I'll take that. Pumpkin is in the house. Carmel Butterfly. Sue Talcman is here. Make sure y'all are hitting that like button on your way in here, okay? Hit that like to get this video into the algorithm. Jamila is here. Let's see. Lexi, Taurus Queen, Carmel Butterfly. Addison is here. Read this, my mom. Oh, thank you so much for being here, Reed. I know you had a long day yesterday, okay? Let's see. Angelica Pickles is in the building. Bettina is here. Hello, and thank you for the roses, Miss Moon Magic, as well as Bettina. And let's see, Almond Brown is in the building. Sean. Hey, Sean David Way. Y'all, something y'all. Thank you for being here, Sean. Let's see here. Reed Dis is here. Make sure y'all check out Sean David Way's channel. So y'all know. Let's see. Kelly Washington is here. Let's see. Realistic Dream. Pumpkin. Buckstar Lover is in the building. And Jazzy Bell is here. Let's see here. Addison and let's see, Lyric. Let's get a few more shout outs and we will go ahead and get started because I do have guests, panelists. I want to make sure that I am, I make sure I don't take up too much of their time today. Okay, I'm considerate of their time. Okay, let's see. Angelica Pickles, already hit you already. A few more shout outs and we will get started. And let's see who else is here. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Kelly Washington is here. Okay, so today we are going to have this panel that I discussed before. I am truly thrilled that y'all are here. We are going to celebrate today the resilience, determination, and boundless potential of Black women. Today we are joined by a panel of remarkable individuals who embody the courage to chase their dreams regardless of the obstacles they face or have faced in life. I am, of course, Danny Robinson, your host for this enlightening discussion on higher education and goals and career paths, entrepreneurship, etc. But today is not just about education, as I said. It's about empowerment. It's about reminding ourselves and each other that it's never too late to pursue our dreams, to go back to school, or to start a business, or whatever your goal is in life. It's never too late, okay? Joining me on this journey and on this panel are our esteemed panelists. We have the Sneaky League, who radiates entrepreneurship and the power of owning your own business. Her story inspires us to dare greatly and embrace the challenges of entrepreneurship with unwavering determination. We also have Dr. Cynthia, whose journey highlights the beauty of lifelong learning. She teaches us that age is but a number and the pursuit of knowledge knows no bounds. Her story serves as a beacon of hope for those who may be considering going back to school later in life. Nicole is not here with us now, but hopefully she will join us later. But nevertheless, she's a shining example of resilience and perseverance. Despite the challenges of motherhood, she pursued her dreams and achieved her Bachelor of Science in Nursing Her journey reminds us that with dedication and determination, anything is possible. And last, but certainly not least, we have Chilaxin Chica, the epitome of excellence in the legal field. The legal field. Her journey showcases the power of perseverance in the face of adversity. She reminds us that setbacks are not roadblocks. Again, setbacks are not roadblocks, but opportunities for growth and transformation. We also might have Ladybug Trucker. She is a truck driver on the road. But that's definitely something that people can pursue. People, they earn a living, or they have like a life, with being a truck driver. So there's different ways and different goals. And to be honest, there's a lot of going on. Like if you look all over the web where people are showing how there are female truck drivers. It's not just males that can be a truck driver. So hopefully she can join us to discuss her truck driving, okay, for those that might be interested in that. But altogether, our panelists embody the strength, resilience, and unwavering spirit of Black women. Their stories affirm that no dream is too big, no goal too daunting, and no obstacle too unachievable. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. I'm gonna pretty much start with general information on education. Okay, I'm gonna cover the general information on education and going to just starting the process. Okay, before obviously you get into a certain career, you obviously need to figure out, like most people say, well, how can I pay for it, or where do I start? So I'm gonna start with those questions. Okay. So, most things, of course, you would need your GED or high school diploma. So if you don't have your GED or high school diploma, you definitely would need to start there. So I suggest for that to go to your local, maybe unemployment office. They might have information, or even just Google online for your local adult education programs or high school programs. There are different things that online that can actually help you, or programs to get your GED if you actually don't have it. Okay, so definitely have that. So that would be the first thing. That's going to be a lot of self-learning or self-taught things to try to get that GED. There are also online. If you can't go to actual school in person, there are actually online websites and things that you can actually go through, and programs that you can enroll in after you pay a fee or something to get that GED. So if anybody out there, I actually have my high school diploma, but if anyone out there has even more information on GED, you are free to hit me up on IG, and you can join a panel today to go into more detail about GED. Okay, so once you have your GED or high school diploma, at that point you can now go into education. We have I recommend that if you are interested in college, that you start at a community college and not go to some sort of diploma mill. Like online, they have a lot of schools that will say you can attend this school, and it's like a private school, and it's not reputable. It is not accredited, and it might be accredited, but all your credits will not transfer. It's only accredited, you go to that school, but once you enroll and you graduate, or you want to transfer your, let's say you enroll to that school, and you want to transfer to a different school. If that school is not accredited with the proper accreditation, you won't be able to transfer those credits to any school. Okay, so that you'll have an issue. So to make sure that you go to a school that's accredited, it's best to go to a community college, like a public community college, to start off. And on top of that, it's cheaper and more affordable. Okay, it's cheaper and more affordable for you to go to a community college in your local area instead of going online to, I'm not going to name certain schools, but there are certain schools online that are pretty much just out for money. They overcharge you, and it's only about getting money, and a lot of times they're not accredited, or their credits can only be transferred to certain schools. So you'll go to this school and you'll be stuck with a degree that might not be great, or you'll be stuck with credits that you can't transfer if you wanted to pursue higher education. So again, once you have your high school diploma, my advice is to go to some sort of training program, or to go to a technical school like a training program, or go to a community college. And another reason to go to a local community college is this: if you go to an online school or somewhere else online, it's like a diploma mill or a private school online, a lot of times they are going to charge you out of state tuition. If you're not in that same state, they will charge you like additional money out of state tuition instead of in-state tuition. So it's going to be additional cost. Okay. If you go to a local school or in your state, you will pay in-state tuition, and in-state tuition is cheaper and more affordable. Okay. So yeah. There was someone online advertising like this online school, and they wanted everyone to just sign up for this online school. And I'm like, wait a minute. People outside of that state will have to pay out of state tuition, and that's not good. Okay. Yeah. So once you have your high school diploma or GED, and you're interested in going to college, you can start at a community college. If you're interested in like being like a LPN or other things like that, then sometimes you can just go to like a technical school or some other training program. It doesn't have to be like a degree where you would get like a associate's degree or a bachelor's degree or anything like that. So hold on one second. So basically, I want you to avoid any traps of just signing up for any school that you see. Make sure the school is actually accredited, and their credits will actually transfer from one school to the next. Okay. And on the panel, y'all can feel free to chime in if I miss out on anything, because I think I'm covering that, hopefully. Okay, so once you are in school I'm going over to college. Okay, so once you're in school at a community college, usually the first 2 years you're obtaining your associate's degree. So you'll have your associate's degree during those first 2 years. After you get your associate's degree, another 2 years, which will make 4 years, that would be your bachelor's degree. Okay. And usually to graduate with your bachelor's degree, you will have to have at least a 2.0 GPA. So that's what they're going to tell you. You have to graduate with a 2.0 GPA. Now let me stop y'all right there. If you actually just want to get your bachelor's degree, you never plan to go higher than your bachelor's degree, then a 2.0 minimum is fine. However, I don't advise that. Just because something is a minimum requirement for graduation, don't just reach for that, because you never know when you might decide to pursue higher education, higher than a bachelor's degree. And this is when you will run into a problem. A lot of graduate schools, like for master's degree and your PhD, etc., they will have a higher GPA requirement for admission. They will have it 3.0, 3.5, 3.7. They will have it up there to make it highly competitive. And if you only go to that college and you're only trying to get the minimum requirement just to pass that 2.0, one day you might decide to go for something else, and you'll look at the requirements and says, in order to apply, you have to have a 3.5. You're going to be like, wow. They told me I only needed a 2.0. And now I can't even apply for this program. Now, I'm not saying that you're losing all hope. You're not going to lose all hope, because there are some there are some programs that you can do with a lower GPA requirement. But this is what I have always believed. I want to qualify for everything, and then I want to choose what I want to do. I don't want to be limited or restricted in what I can qualify for. Okay? So if you want to be in this program and all of a sudden you got to have a 3.5 and you can't qualify, you're being restricted and limited from what you want to do. And you have to go to a different school, a different program that might not be as credible or reputable or prestigious as that one with the higher GPA requirement. Okay. So with that being said, once you enroll in college and you actually plan on going to school higher up than just that bachelor's degree, look at the school that you want to go to and their requirements for their graduate school program and what the GPA is. And if it's a 3.5, when you're in school, you have to make sure by the time you graduate that bachelor's degree, you got a 3.5. So that way you can go to the next step into that master's program and be able to qualify and compete with other people. Because let me tell you, a lot of those programs, graduate programs, they have limited admission a lot of times. They might only admit, and when I'm talking, y'all, I'm talking about schools, reputable schools, prestigious schools are schools that actually have accreditation in a name, like research institutions. Like I'm talking about like a legitimate schools. I'm not talking about just schools that accept anybody. They might only accept 10 to 12 people or even 5 people each year. So you're going to be competing with other people on like the Greer or other testing scores. You're going to be competing on the GPA. You're going to be competing on when you have to submit essays. It's just going to be highly competitive. Okay. That's for people that want to go higher up. So I do have my master's degree. So I did have to go through all those steps that I told y'all to get into the graduate program, but they only accepted 10 to 12 people each year. Okay. Now I'm going to get into the next thing, which is how can you now, as far as other people that don't want to go to the whole thing about going like associates for 2 years, masters 4 years, masters is usually 2 years, but sometimes it can be 2 to 3 depending on what program you actually choose. And then after that, there's of course the PhD level, which is added on another 2 to 3 years depending on the program. So it can be up there for those that want to climb up. And each step, you have to remember, you're going to have to be competing against people to get into certain spots or certain funding. Okay, but now let me get into how you can actually pay. Wait, let me go back because I got to remember that some people are not going to go through the whole college process. There are some people that actually just want to skip college and they want something quick. They want to just get their high school diploma or GED and then be an LPN. There are some programs that are not like, it might be at your local college, it might be at a technical school, it might be something like that. You actually go there and they will have like a 12 to 15 month program to be like an LPN. They have sometimes like a 6 month or even less to be a CNA, like a certified nursing assistant. They will have other programs for people that might want to do hair, cosmetology. So I would say those are usually training schools or technical schools. So I would look up your local technical school or training school or even your local community college to see what programs they have or certifications or licenses they have. And usually they have a whole list of things, electrician, cosmetologist, mechanic. They'll have different things that are shorter programs. So with these shorter programs, you're not actually getting a degree like an associate's degree, bachelor's degree, master's degree, PhD. You're actually getting a certification or a license. And there's nothing wrong with that. Okay. There are people that are LPNs, they make good money. They have a license. Okay. So again, that you can also be an entrepreneur, a person that has their own business. So it's not always about you have to go through this. So I'm just speaking for everybody because there's different people out in the audience that might have different goals. So we want to make sure we cover everybody. Okay, so if you're interested in going back to college to get your degree and climb up associates, bachelors, and up, I would say start at a community college. If you're interested in like a certification or a license, you can start at community college or your local technical school. If you don't have your GED, there are programs and different things. You Google it in your local area, adult education schools in your area that can help you get your GED. Okay, there are usually programs that can help you with that. Okay, so once you have that, you obviously want to know like about funding. Let's go ahead and talk about funding. How can you actually fund um, these programs, like training programs and degrees? Okay, so let's go ahead discuss that really quickly. 1 second. Let me take this down. So I'm briefly going to go over the types of financial aid. Now, with the financial aid, we have different ones. Some you have to pay back and some you don't have to pay back. And a lot of this depends on your income. Okay, it depends on your income. If you're under the age of 24, I think it depends on also your parents' income. But over the age of 23 or 24, depending on certain factors, it depends on yours. Now, there are sometimes if you're under a certain age and you can prove that you're like independent, you can like bypass the whole parent factor. Okay, so I would just definitely talk to whatever school you want to go to. They all have a financial aid office, so you can always talk to the financial aid office about your circumstances and what's going on with you, and they can advise you. That's their job. Okay, that's their job to advise you on financial aid for that school. Even if you don't use or certain things, a lot of times people will always tell you to fill out the FAFSA. Okay, even if you don't use the Pell Grant, a lot of times people say still fill this out anyway before you can even qualify for other funding or any program. Okay, um, so the first type is a grant. A lot of people use the grant. Okay, a grant is a form of financial aid that does not have to be repaid. You do not have to pay this back. Unless, for example, you withdraw from school and owe a refund. Like if you start classes and you start school and then you drop out or you quit before a certain time period, you might have to pay it back. Okay, you might get a W on that class withdrawal, like a W, or you might have to pay that back. But otherwise, you mostly don't have to pay grants back. So if you're interested in going back to school, most likely, and your income is low or it qualifies enough, you will probably be able to get a Pell Grant. Okay, you don't have to pay this back. This is not a loan. You don't have to pay it back. Yeah. And it's not a scam. It's not anything like that. It's actually a government program for financial aid for students. So this is the first thing I advise anybody to fill out. They actually can't afford school, and this is what they will do. And even if you think you can't afford it, you might actually still be able to get assistance with it. Like they might actually make you pay only a smaller portion or a smaller amount. And why not just apply for it to see what you actually qualify for or not? Okay. So I would say apply for the Pell Grant. And here's the thing: a lot of times you apply for the Pell Grant, you go to like a community college. You might not even need to get student loans because the Pell Grant a lot of times will cover the cost of your tuition. So without actually getting student loans. Okay. Now there are some people that will get student loans because they will need like the extra money for student housing or other things like that. So they actually will get student loans. But for those that want to avoid student loans completely, a lot of times a Pell Grant will cover the cost of community college. Now, if you go to a private school or one of those diploma mills, a lot of times the grant won't cover it because their tuition is going to be too high, and they might even have out-of-state tuition costs are going to be too high for you to actually just get a grant. So with that, you're also going to get student loans. They're going to have you apply for that. So grants do not have to be paid back, and that's what you would usually pay for your training or anything like that. So if you don't say I don't have any money, don't use that as an excuse because most likely if you don't have any money and you qualify for other government programs, then most likely you will qualify for a Pell Grant. So that's going to be your money right there to actually go back to school. So don't use that as an excuse. If you have too much income, then obviously you might not qualify for that. Moving on to the next thing, of course, most people should know what scholarships are. Many nonprofit and private organizations offer scholarships to help students to pay for college or career school. This type of free money, which is sometimes based on academic merit. Now, with this, usually they would want your high school information, or the last level of educational attainment that you have. So if high school is your last completed level, then obviously, and you're trying to get into college, like to get your associate, to be a freshman in college, then obviously you're going to ask for your high school information. If you're trying to get into graduate school, trying to get some sort of scholarship or fellowship, they're going to ask you for your bachelor's, like information and like what like achievements you had. Okay, so what they ask for, usually if you're trying to get into a graduate program, they're going to focus on what you did in your undergrad. They're not going to go way back to high school. Now they will ask you to submit all the information once you get admitted. But when they're focusing on like who's going to get a fellowship or something, they're going to focus on like the more recent education. Okay. Let's see, work, study, jobs. Now, I did not do this, but there is work, study, jobs. The federal work study program allows you to earn money to pay for school by working part-time. You'll earn at least the current federal minimum wage. However, you may earn more depending on the type of work you do and the skills required for the position. Your total work study award depends on when you apply, your level of financial need, and your school's funding level. So there's another option right there, work study. So you'll earn at least the current federal minimum wage and things like that. Okay. So again, there are options. And then the last one, of course, loans. So student loans, when you go into school, you can also get the Pell Grant and also the student loans. And a loan is money you borrow and you must pay back, so and with interest. You have to pay this back with interest. Now, if you are going to get student loans and go to a community college where it's more affordable for you, so Pell Grants will cover most of the tuition, or if not all the tuition, so you don't need loans. But some people get loans anyway because while they're in school, they might need to pay the extra money for housing, student housing, or other expenses that outside of the Pell Grant. But this has to be paid back. Okay, so it's best that if you do use it, to use it wisely and smartly, and don't go to a school that's gonna take up all like the loans and Pell Grants and then leave you with a degree that's worthless or credits that don't transfer and all this debt. So make sure you're actually using it and being serious. And also don't, now I know that there was a person in another sector advertising going to school to get student loans. Don't just go to school to get student loans and then don't actually focus for real on your actual education. Because what can happen is there is a certain amount you can get in student loans. And once you deplete that fund, you can no longer get that financial aid. Okay. Once you use up all the money for like a certain amount, the threshold. Yeah. So, and then what happens once you just go to school just to get money, your grades will obviously be bad. You're not actually in school for real, like actually serious about it. And then one day when you decide to actually go to school and actually do something with your life, you'll realize you have a lot of debt and now you can't even go to school because you were fucking around just to get loan. So I was only to go to school, but you're serious about it, you're passionate about it, you actually want to go, not just to do some kind of, hustle, okay? Because you're gonna probably regret it later when you actually become serious. Yeah, so only for real, when you're serious about education, go back to school. And don't fall for these people that sign up for that just to get money. And you're signing up for some diploma middle school that's not accredited, and you're gonna get into debt, and it's not. And it might short-term pleasure and long-term pain and long-term regret. So don't do that to yourself, okay? Put yourself in debt, and then don't even have a degree at the end of the day, or training or anything that you wanted. Okay, so that's for the basic level. Now, for the next level, we have fellowship, and now we're going to get into graduate school. For graduate school, we have fellowships, A lot of the fellowships do not have to be paid back. Now, with some fellowships, they might have you do certain things, but it's not going to be a lot. They just have you maybe participate in certain meetings or certain things, just to like help you improve and better yourself. But it's not, it's not going to be like a lot, and it'll be with other fellows, like fellows that you're like that also got awarded. And sometimes that can be for the life of a program, or sometimes it can be for a year, or they'll have a certain amount or a certain time period where you get that fellowship. The next thing for graduate school, now graduate school is when I say graduate school, let me actually make sure I make a distinction. Undergraduate is when you're trying to just get to your bachelor's degree, that 4 years of college, okay? 4 years of bachelor's degree. Graduate school is beyond the bachelor's degree, where you're trying to actually get your master's degree or PhD. You're in graduate school at that point. For graduate school, that's when you talk about fellowships, okay? And also with graduate school, you can also get loans, student loans at graduate school. But the main thing that most people do when they go to graduate school is pay attention, is graduate funding. The reason that a lot of these schools only admit 10 to 12 students or 5 students, I say 10 to 12 because that's how much, how many mine actually admits. But it's because there's limited funding, or they have a certain amount of funding they can give students. So with that, it's graduate funding is when you actually work for the school. You are a graduate assistant, where you actually help, like you grade papers, or you assist in this lab, you assist in the classroom, you assist the professor with whatever needs to be assisted. Okay, you're a graduate assistant, and with that, you get paid. That's why you're funded. You get paid for your. It's like part time. You work for the teacher a certain amount of hours. You can't go over that hours because they obviously don't want you to interfere with your education. So that's like a graduate assistant. The second one is a graduate associate. A graduate associate is when once you get a certain, like with your master's degree, okay, this is what they do. You can actually teach your own class. Like you're actually the professor for that course, even though you're a student. And the reason is because at that point you have your master's degree. And since you have your master's degree, you're actually eligible and qualified enough to actually be a professor at an actual community college. So some people actually don't want to be a graduate associate because they can make more money by just going to their local community college and becoming a professor there, teaching courses at a certain level, usually like 2,000 level to maybe sometimes upwards to 3,000, but usually 2,000 level courses. So once you have your master's degree, you can choose to be a graduate associate. You work for the school as a student, and you have a professor that's your advisor that looks over you. But pretty much you're in control of the course syllabus and the curriculum and the plan, and whatever happens, that's actually your class. So you're on the actual schedule and everything. Okay, so that's a graduate associate. And then they have fellowships I just mentioned. And then they also have research assistants where you actually, assistantships where you actually are, you do research alongside a professor. You help them with their research projects and things like that. Sometimes they say RA. So there are different ways you can get funded. And none of those right there I just mentioned require you to take out student loans, okay? But at one point or some point, once you get your master's degree, sometimes people actually choose not to work for the school because they pay you less money than you actually should get in real life. Okay, so I'm not gonna get into what I do or what I've done because that's getting a little too personal. And I don't want to give people too many breadcrumbs, but I just gave y'all basic information on that. Funding all the way from getting your GED all the way up to graduate school. So with that being said, now we're going to get into the actual guest on the panel who can let me actually look at my backtrack, who can actually go over what they've done with their actual career. So here's a good one. So the sneaky link says they can also check with their current employment to see if continued educational offerings are in their benefits. Yes. Most companies that hire full-time will pay for credits. Yeah, so that's a good point. Check with your current job to see if they actually have any offerings to help you with to continue your education. Sometimes they do. And there are some jobs that actually give you more money if you increase your education, right? So you definitely want to check into that and look into that. Let me see if anyone has any questions as far as this goes, education and funding. And if nobody has any other questions, then we're going to move on to our guest. Does anybody have any questions as far as the things I just covered? Yeah, that's what I was saying. You can, a lot of people choose, instead of being a graduate associate and working for the school, getting less pay, they choose to just get a job on their own outside of the school and work at a community college with their master's degree. So a lot of times you can be like, oh, wow, it is special to, see your name on the schedule and you're the professor over that course. At the same time, you're going to get less pay than you would get by going to community college and, working there. And you get more freedom that way. Okay. So yeah, it's up to whoever what they decide they want to do. That's why I gave different options. Okay. Yeah. Let's see here. Right, tuition and reimbursement is offered on many places of employment. Okay, so let me go ahead and start with the next guest, and we can answer questions at the very end. Okay. Hold on 1 second. Oh yeah, I forgot. Also with the graduate funding, they also give you like other benefits as well, like with health and things like that. So they give you other things, and they also like covers tuition. Like it'll pay for your tuition. So graduate funding it's not just about you working those hours and then getting paid. You get paid, you also get benefits and other things. So there's other things into that graduate funding. You get health, you get paid, and things like that. And also, in the graduate program, you can also travel a lot when you go to conferences and research and things like that. But that's higher up. But the main thing I want y'all to take away from what I said is when you go to college, don't just aim for that 2.0. Aim for the highest level, get the highest grades you can get. That way, once you finish your bachelor's degree and you ever decide to go to graduate school, you won't be restricted or limited when you see people are saying you need a 3.0, a 3.5, 3.6. Like some even law schools require you to have a higher GPA, way higher than 2.0. Graduate schools, definitely. Now, there are some other schools that might have, or programs that have different things. So definitely look into what you want to do and what is the GPA requirement to get into those programs before you just you can't qualify. Okay, so let me go ahead and start with Auntie Dr. Cynthia.
Hi.
Hey.
Okay. 20 years ago, time just moves so quickly. 20 years ago, when I was 50, I had already had a career in information technology for over 25 or so years, but I didn't have a degree. My children were grown, and my brother was already a doctor of philosophy, having graduated from University of Pennsylvania. He was brilliant. He did Alzheimer's research, and it was a little bit of sibling rivalry, but I also wanted my mother to have two doctors in the family. I was a proponent of lifelong learning, but life never gave me that opportunity because of raising children and working. So I was pretty successful in my career in IT. I was a manager / director of IT and an IT strategist. And one day I just said a prayer to myself. I said, please remove all of the barriers, especially the ones I place before myself, so that I can move through my future and it can catch up to me. And I just said, I'm going for it. And I decided to go back to school to get my bachelor's degree. So in 2004, I set on that journey, and I went to, I attended Kaplan University, which is now Purdue, part of Purdue University. But at the time, it was a completely 100% online, but it was accredited. And that, when Danny said that you need to do your research on these schools to ensure that they are accredited, so that your credits can be transferred if you decide to go further into graduate school and things like that. And I completed my degree in 4 years. And then I got that bug again, and I decided to go back and get my master's degree in writing studies, because I'm a writer. I've always been a writer. I've written about 4 or 5 books now, specialized in novels. And then I did a story on a gangster, Queen Pin. And then I decided I wanted to go back to school. I wanted to get a credential for writing. So I decided to go to St. Joe's University in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, private institution, private university. And they put me on a type of probation because I had not, I guess you could say because I had gone to Kaplan, but they put me on a type of probation, and I had to complete successfully 2 courses. Of course, I got a 4.0 in the very first one, so they took off that whole probation thing. And I ended up graduating. Well, I graduated from my undergrad with a 3.9% GPA, which is summa cum laude. That's the highest honor. And then I graduated with a 3.9125 at St. Joe's University, which is another summa cum laude. And I just was on a roll. Then I decided to go back to school. And I got my doctorate degree from Gwynedd Mercy University in education, with a focus on higher education and then, higher education administration. And I did that with a 4.0. And during that time, I had decided that I was not going to worry about funding, because we live in a culture and an economy where it is a debt-based economy. And I knew that at some point I was going to be owing somebody something until I died at some point. So I didn't worry about that. But as things happen, because I am disabled, there is a program, and I want people to listen to this. There's a program with Social Security and the Department of Education. I don't think Trump has gotten rid of that. I don't think he knows that exists. There is a program where if you are disabled, they will, your loans will be, I can't think of the word, but they will go away. Your loans will go away. And I had amassed about $200 and some odd thousand in debt over the course of those years of schooling. And I got a letter from the Department of Education that said that they were going to my loans were going to go away. I cannot think of that word, but I think whoever knows what that word is, it's something like discharge. That's the word. They discharged the loans. So do your research. If you are disabled and you want to go back to school, you get those loans. You go ahead and get that funding. And the loans are discharged and forgiven. And you finish your education, you complete your education, you can apply to get them discharged through Social Security and your Social Security, Disability, and the Department of Education. So now I don't even have any school loans to pay off, and I have my doctorate degree. My mother was, she didn't live long enough for me to see me graduate, because she passed in 2016 and I graduated at 64 in 2018. But I know she would have been proud that she ended up with 2 doctors in the family.
That's great. Thank you for sharing.
Any questions? Let me look at the chat. Hold on.
We're going to save questions to
the questions to last. Okay.
Yeah, the questions for last. But yeah, that's great. With no student loans, they were discharged and forgiven. So yeah, they do have student loan forgiveness programs. I'm not going to go over all of those today, but there are different ways you can qualify for student loan forgiveness, and there are different requirements or things you have to do, or time periods. Yeah, so thanks for bringing that up, that people can get their loans forgiven if they qualify for certain things.
Yeah, and I understand that if you are a teacher and you have been paying your loans in good standing for about 10 years, I think, and you are a teacher in the public school system, your loans can be forgiven as well.
Yep, there are different programs, and that's actually great. Now, to be honest, to me, they should lower that time period to less than 10 years, but yeah, it's still good. Yeah. Okay, so thank you for sharing. I was waiting for, I guess, Ladybug, because I know she goes in and out. So we'll go ahead and go with Sneaky Link.
Hello, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever this video shall reach you guys. Happy Women's Day to everyone that is here. Thank you, Danny, for having me. I'm just going to really quickly give a little bit about what I've done within my journey to entrepreneurship, and then I'll give you some of the details that, nobody told me about entrepreneurship and how those things affected my journey. So from a kindergarten teacher to human resources manager, sales manager, I've done a lot of different things, which brought me to this place I am in today. During the pandemic, a family event, not a good event, is what created my business. I don't want to go too deep into what that business is, but what I will say is, in going through my entrepreneurship journey, a lot of what life gives us and our environmental factors will play into part of that. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about what entrepreneurship is, the different types of entrepreneurship, and some successful skills that I've learned along the way. So an entrepreneur is anyone who has an idea, who's willing to act on that idea, and that idea is going to cause wave within our sales and our markets and things of that nature. Obviously, the idea of beginning your entrepreneurship journey would be to create a business. A lot of the time, that is to increase our funding. So with that being said, being careful about the timing of creating your business is very important. Creating a business when you're having a hard time and the world is having a hard time is probably not the best place to start. So I started my business during the beginning of the pandemic. A lot of businesses flourished at that time, and a lot of businesses did not flourish so well, just depending on what type of business that you were trying to start. My business was family oriented. It was a very specific topic that a lot of people do not want to talk about. So caregiving, family care planning, and things of that nature, end of life planning, talking about your will. So we are not continuously having these GoFundMes for, to send our family members off and things of that nature. I wanted to make sure that my family was secure with life insurances and things like that. So I took my learning and the level that I already had, and then I applied some new learnings to it to get my family to where I needed it to be, and then I wanted to share that information with others. So who can be an entrepreneur? Anybody. Anybody can be an entrepreneur, but there are things that you need to develop within yourself to be a great entrepreneur. You want to make sure that you have great self-leadership skills. You want to make sure that you are creative and you're able to improvise, right? So some things that we want to make sure that we're doing for ourselves is self-discipline. Your passion for what you are going to create is what is going to be the driving force for you to be successful within your entrepreneurship. So creating discipline within yourself, having a schedule, making sure that what you are talking about and what you are working on is a passion for you, because that is what's going to get you through those hard days, the months of no sales, the months and months and months of posting and not getting the interactions that you want to get. That self-discipline. Also, along with emotional stability, you need to understand the value of self-care going into entrepreneurship. So before we do all of these things that are extra in our lives, educating ourselves, building upon what we have to make sure that we're doing that from a strong foundation. So what I want everybody to make sure that they do is start everything that you're doing is with self-care. Make sure that what you're doing feels good for you. If it doesn't feel good, it doesn't fit, then maybe you need to alter something to get that to a place where it fits better for you and it helps you to create emotional stability. Another skill that you're going to need to build is curiosity. You're going to want to learn more. The goal is to never stop learning. Along with all of the tools that Danny provided, you can also do certification courses. There's so many different educational tools out there that you can use as a tool for yourself. The same certifications that are offered in some of these higher universities and state universities, they're offered as certifications from smaller places. Those same universities, those same teachers are giving you the information on other sources like LinkedIn. You can go there for training and certifications on pretty much anything. Your commitment and a combination of your passion with your persistence and your willingness to be able to take risk is what's going to fuel more success for you as well. And then you also need to be confident in what you are presenting. So if you have a product, one, do you love your product? Do you love your product? Do you use your product? Is your friends using your product? Are you able to sell this product that you have in an elevator in 5 seconds? And that's all the ride time that you have. Can you at least get your card to someone? Do you have the openness within yourself to be the extroversion person that you need to be in those moments? Unfortunately, sometimes it might be a little bit harder for introverts to step out into the world of entrepreneurship, because entrepreneurship requires you to be sociable, talkative, assertive. Being an extroversion, obviously it has several subcomponents to that, but most importantly, you need to be able to effectively communicate, sell your product, have a focus for your product, be willing to learn new things, and have a strategy to keep all of that in mind, while also having the ability to be agreeable, right? So if you are going to have a business and you're going to have a product, you need to be cooperative, you need to be polite, you need to be kind. Are these natural traits that you have? Are you able to be trusting? Are you able to be affectionate? Are you able to be altruistic? These are behaviors that you would generally need to display in order to gain the trust of the customer you're looking to get. And then you also have to have a little bit of a neuroticism, right? Because we want to make sure that all of the effort that we have put into these things we have a plan, and we're, the bottom line is the money, right? We want to make sure that yes, we are producing something, or whatever your outcome for your business be. It may not be money, maybe it may be funding for someone else. You may want to do a nonprofit business or something of that sort, where your targets will be different. And also with neuroticism, these are personality traits that help you to be that will cause you to be emotionally instability and irritable and angst and anxiety, and have self-doubt. But you have to have the control and the consciousness to be able to go forward with your wins and accept your losses. Two important things that I found for me was having a business partner and also having a business consultant. My business partner was there for me throughout all of those long nights of planning and post creation, and just very long nights of packing boxes and doing different things to get us noticed. And then the business consultant was there to guide us both, make sure that we had all of the things that we needed. While we had done so much work, we brought in a business consultant at the end, and they gave us literally another month's worth of work in order for us to be at completion to even start the business. So you want to have those things. You want to use your sources. There's a lot of information out there, and yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
Also, I want to add on to, if you have any questions for her, we're going to save questions for the end for everybody. I want to add on to that is that whatever your idea is for your business, don't be afraid to actually make the first step and actually start the business. And I can say that I know someone that they actually started to do like event planning. They like to do like events, right? So they would do like the balloon decor. You know how you blow up the balloons, you decorate the balloons and you design the balloons? They would do that just for like family and things like that. And then after a while, they actually wanted to do it for like everybody. So they actually started to do like event planning and like party decor and decorations. And a lot of people actually like paid them to do that. So whatever your idea is, I would say don't be afraid to, sometimes it can start within your own family, your friends, and your circle. You're like balloon arrangements. And then from there, you can actually start like just make it into an actual business, so you can actually do it within the community and to everybody. And then it can branch out from there. You never know where it will go. Okay. There are some people that like cooking, so they actually start having like a food truck. There's different businesses there, and also in some states, people are starting with this whole like y'all know there in certain places like things are illegal, and so they are starting with that business. What was it called, like the weed dispensaries or something like that? But so there's different ways you can earn money or start business ideas. So I would say don't be afraid to, whatever your idea is, to put it into motion, because that's like the first step, right? Is to not just think about it like, oh, I wish I could do this, or I wish I could do that, but it actually like make a goal and take that first step, because actions speak louder than words. You can talk all day, but you got to actually make an action, like an action step, and get started. Just get started on it. So what would be like the first step someone needs to do, like to actually set up their business? Like they have this idea. So what should they do next once they have that idea?
I would say once you have an idea, you want to create like the atmosphere for that idea, and then pitch that idea to people that are close to you. So, or people who are within the same space. Even if people outside of that space, make sure that your product, whatever it is, if it's an item or, even if it's a part of you that you're selling, make sure it's something that somebody wants to buy. Right? So you have to start there and create the story and the journey for your product. Think about how, for an example, how Rihanna creates her products, right? So she creates this product, but she builds around the product, and she does everything, everything that she does is geared towards that product, and whatever business plan that they have set for her for that product, whatever, announcements and things like that. Pitch your idea to people, get the feel of it, and also start to legalize things where if you have a name, something that you want to use. Danny knows very much so. Once you create that website, create that email, you copyright that name, you going into those steps. That's when you start turning it on. That's where the business consultant comes into play. What do you want your business to look like? Those are the things that you need to think about. Where are you going to get the funding for this business? How much are things going to cost? That's a whole nother thing. Is your credit good? Also, we know that there's business credit and lots of lines of things there as well. You also want to make sure that you are starting out with what you can afford and making sure that the business money is not the personal money. So if you do have to put money into this business, and you have a business venture that you're planning to do, that would be the first place to start in saving money and figuring out how you're going to fund that business. I guess that would be an entire another live, Danny. There's a lot to go into when it gets into business funding and business credit and how to go about getting those things.
Yeah, I definitely would say to trademark your business name. Definitely get it trademarked.
Definitely. And also, if there is any logos or images that you want to specifically use, you want to trademark those as well, just so that you're not creating this whole business and this whole idea around something that you cannot use. Now you have all of these graphics and things that need to change.
And a lot of people are concerned, a lot of times about like how can they actually fund. Now, some businesses you probably don't need funding. A lot of people are doing that. What is that business called? Drop shipping. A lot of people do drop shipping where they actually don't even have the product or merchandise, and and then there's some people that actually need to actually create the product or make the product before they actually can deliver it or whatever, or ship it out for some businesses. So they will need that initial funding. So for some people, they are like, well, my business needs that initial funding. So what do you say about that for those that are saying, well, the business idea I would actually need to have money before I actually can make money or do this business idea?
I would say go ahead and start building your business credit first. The first thing you would need is your EIN. Obviously, you have to have your business registered, and then you can go into getting credit for that business. Therefore, you're not using any of your funding at that point. However, you need to make sure that you're going to have a return investment on your business so that the money that comes back is what you're paying for. You're paying for money. You're paying for that money straight back out of the business, and it never, because you have to pay these things back, right? Even if it's a business credit card, obviously the credit card is going to have a bill each month, and you're going to have to pay the full debt of whatever that is. You want to make sure that money is coming back from the business, not from your personal funds. You can also get grants and things like that for being a business owner as well. So you have to look into the area that you're in to see what is offered for starting a new business in your area. Also, we're on a panel of women. You get grants just for being a woman and being a business owner. You get credits just for being a Black business owner. So there's a lot of different things that you can look into when it comes to funding your business. Again, those things are in depth, like which credit card offerings you should go for, and which companies business banks should you look to first to get grants and things like that. That's a lot more in depth.
So listen, folks, pretty much, even if it's from like education to even starting a business, you have to look into grants. So like for education, like I said, look up that Pell Grant. And then for business, I guess they have grants as well. So make sure you actually don't use an excuse that funding is an issue. So always try to see if there's some sort of program or something that you could qualify for to help or assist you with your goal. Okay. And do you have anything else to add to that?
There's plenty. We're on the chat again. This is a women's event, so there are actual grant programs that are dedicated just for women's businesses that offer a grant. There is a program, I think they do a grant every month of like $2,000, and then every quarter of the year it's like $2,400 for 4 people, and they do that every year. It's continuous. So these are things that you can always get your hands on. You know, you just have to be willing to do the work, put in an application. Again, that goes into consistency and your drive. What are you willing to do to get it done?
Also, adding on to that, you gotta, like, some people actually have like lump sums. Okay, like you get if you get your tax refund or some sort of lump sum, you can probably use that as an opportunity to fund, instead of like, like don't spend it like frivolously. That's the time where you can actually use that to actually handle things or start a business or start up something when you need like a certain amount of money. Yeah, and because I know people that have like they got their tax like refund, and they use that to start out their business as their point, because that was like the main time where they would have a lump sum or a certain amount of money to start their venture. That's the idea as well.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Did you have anything else to add to that?
No, I don't want to take up all the time. If anybody has questions at the end, I'll be around to answer them.
All right, thank you. Ladybug Trucker, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm going to let you go ahead and go now because I know that you're on the road.
Yeah, I'm driving right now. I was trying to, my Bluetooth just died on me. I'm sorry about that.
It's okay.
Yeah, I've been a truck driver since 2014, so like 7-8 years. I started off going to CDL school in Indiana. Now, I went to Indiana because the company that I went to paid for the CDL class. So if I went to any other school, I would have had to come out of pocket. But they paid for it. But the key was I had to work with them for a year to pay it off. So that's what I personally decided to do. So I did that for school was about 2 months. Now going to junior college, it would be longer. I think it was like an 18-month program at the junior college. So I kind of wanted to go ahead and push it and do it a little faster. So me personally, I decided that's another reason why I decided to go to the company school. So after school, you get your CDL through the school, and you wait for a trainer, and you go through training for about. I went through training for like 3 months. I had ups and downs, but with anything there's ups and downs. So, but I did that for 3 months with a trainer, and with the company that I went to, they wanted to put me out on the road by myself, and I was kind of nervous, being that I was a new driver. So I ended up getting a teammate. So we teamed for about 8 months together just to get used to the road. And once we got used to the road, being in a truck with someone that's not like your spouse or something, it's not really the greatest because it's not a huge space that we stay in. So once we got our foot on, our feet wet, and we see what we could do, and we just decided to venture off and get our own trucks. And I've been driving solo ever since. It has its ups and downs, like I said, but I enjoy it. I travel pretty much everywhere. Yeah, I do miss the family, but I'm not, I guess I'm not I'm more focused on taking care of my family, and with the things that I had to go through before trucking school, I didn't want to go through that anymore. So I enjoy being able to take care of everyone. Yeah, I don't know what else to say, but yeah. That's about it.
So you said you went to your community college area and your area?
Well, they have you can go to the community college, and their program is a little longer. I believe it's the one that was in my area was about 18 months. But if you go through the company, some companies have schools too. And if you go through the company, it's a shorter program as far as the school part. You also get training, hands-on training after you get your CDL. So they put you with someone for about 3 months to get training. Because once you get your CDL, you can go out on the road. But being that you're new, you get a trainer for about 3-4 months.
Okay, so there are some companies that actually have their own programs, like internal programs for training people to be to get their CDL to be a truck driver, and that
I can give you a name of one, which is Swift. They have a school in Wyoming, I believe. So with that, they actually would pay for you to get there. So you really don't come out of pocket with anything when you go through a company, because you're going to pay it back after you get your CDL, because they're going to hire you on, depending on like if you pass all your tests, but as long as you pass all your tests and everything, you get hired on, and you get training with another driver that's been driving with more experience.
Okay, thank you. That's actually a good thing. I'm glad you came up here, because some people might be interested in that, going that route.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I actually enjoy it. It's not for everybody, but me personally, I enjoy it. I'm able to bring my kids with me, and I have my dog with me, so I don't bring my kids with me all the time, but when they want to come, they can, and I enjoy it. I don't have to deal with a whole lot of people, and I don't really like dealing with a lot of people sometimes. So other than like shipping and receiving at the warehouses, that's pretty much all I really have to deal with as far as like people. Yeah, I enjoy it, but if I do everywhere. But you can get a day cab, and you can get home every day. So this isn't the only option either. So like you can get onto an account. Let's just say Coca-Cola has an account. You can get on with them through a company. They might have Coca-Cola, and you will deliver back and forth and be able to get home every day. So you won't get you get a day cab. So it's just 2 seats in the truck, because you're getting home every day. You don't need the cab with the bed and everything. So if you're looking for something more like you want to get home every day, then you can get with a company that has accounts with different companies, and you might go no farther than maybe 500 miles a day, which is there and back, and that's like a full day. So you don't have to do over the road everywhere. You can also do local. So it's pretty much up to you.
And what about those that, I guess, like, I think some people have their own truck, or they do their own trucking business, or are they driving a truck or something?
Well, the owner operators, I feel personally, if you just starting to drive a truck, like if you just got out of school, I feel personally that you should take at least a year to get a feel of driving, just everything itself. So like with owner operators, it's a lot more to it as far as having a broker or going through like a smaller company. I'm sorry, hold on one second, I'm driving. I gotta get over. But like you can go through like a smaller company, and they might be brokered out, and they will find loads for you, and you get paid by the percentage. They give you a percentage of the load. So with the owner operators, some of them can get between 60 to 80% of the load cost, and then because they're finding it for you. So it's a lot of ins and outs when it comes to owning your own truck versus working with a company. You pretty much just driving their truck for them. You don't have to worry about any maintenance or anything. Pretty much you just drive. Now, doing that, you get paid by the mile, which can be maybe 40 to 80 cents a mile, sometimes $1, just depending on the load. So it varies. So the difference between owners is that they're getting paid by the load for the most part. And then when you're working with a company, you get paid by the mile. So it doesn't sound like a lot when you say like 50 cents a mile, but it adds up through the week if you're doing like, let's say, 15 to 2,500 miles a week. So it just depends.
Okay, thank you for sharing that information. Definitely be safe. And we're going to have questions at the end, so at the very end.
Okay.
Are you going to ask questions? Okay, next we have Talax and Chica.
Hi, everybody. I am a licensed attorney. I went to law school and I attended graduate school as a single mother with a elementary school age child. And in both of those cases, I attended school full time and I worked part time. Definitely take advantage of any resources that you have. Never think that something is impossible for you to do based on your circumstances, because I think I'm definitely proof that that's not the case. Undergraduate and law school for me were fortunate in the sense that I was able to attend both with full academic scholarships. I was a non-traditional student in both cases. I did not go to undergraduate right out of high school. I waited 10 years because I was not sure what I wanted to do. And I did not want to be one of those 6-year undergraduate students. So once I decided what it was I wanted to focus on and major in, I decided, okay, now's the time to go back to school. And it just so happened to be that at the time I was a single mom. Keep your expenses as minimal as possible. If you can avoid loans, avoid the loans. Not having debt when you graduate is an amazing feeling when you look at your classmates who have a lot of debt and they're stressing. It also leaves your opportunities to work a little bit more open, and you can be more flexible in accepting job offers that kind of go along with what you need for your particular lifestyle. Couple of things that I think a lot of people are not aware of. When you're attending undergraduate school, it's okay to be curious. It's okay to take chances. I took a lot of courses in undergraduate that absolutely had nothing to do with my major, just because I was curious, and I used those for my electives, and they kind of helped broaden my horizon. My undergraduate degree is in psychology. Before I graduated from undergrad, I was already accepted into the PhD program for applied psychology because I wanted to do experimental design research and statistical analysis. I became an attorney purely out of curiosity. I took my GRE. When I was taking the GRE, I saw there was a little flyer on the wall about an LSAT. I asked the lady, what's the LSAT for? She said, oh, that's for people that want to go to law school. I said, oh, really? Can anybody take it? She said, absolutely. Great. I took it out of curiosity. I just wanted to see what was on it. I didn't bother paying any attention to what was a good score. I just didn't worry about it because as far as I was concerned, I was going to get my PhD. I started getting free applications in the mail from multiple law schools offering financial aid. And at that point, that's when I realized, oh, wow, I must have had a pretty good score because I'm not having to pay these application fees. I'll apply. Let's see what happens. So I ended up in a unique position of being able to choose. Do I get the PhD or do I get the law degree? And I chose the law degree. A couple of key points that I like to make sure all women and minorities know. When it comes to your GRE, when it comes to your LSAT, You can get fee waivers if you meet certain qualifications and circumstances, meaning you don't have to pay for those things. I did do the research on my own to find out about the fee waivers and being eligible for those things. But because I did not necessarily intend on going to law school, I did not at that time also know that there were additional resources that are available that are very interested in promoting people of underrepresented groups and giving them assistance with preparing them for law school or offering them additional training prior to beginning law school to help them be more successful in law school. So there are those programs out there. They are not hard to find. If you go to the LSAC website, you can find those programs. And a lot of them are absolutely free. And they will help you with your preparation to take the LSAT. They offer all of that information to you. I'm trying to think of what else. Don't be afraid to do it as a single mom. I made sure my schedule was set up. My classes were during my son's school hours. My classes ended by the end of his school hours. I clerked with law firms. I made sure that my hours coincided either with his summer camp or my hours would end part-time during his school and after school program. And I just made it my focus from the time I picked him up from school or after school until 8 o'clock at night, which is when he would go to bed. That was his time. I didn't worry about my classwork. I didn't worry about my schoolwork. None of that mattered. Once he went to bed, that's when I handled my business. That's when I focused on my schoolwork, because it was as important to me that I get my education as it was that he get his. If school was closed and I needed him to come to class with me, I would just let the professor know in a day in advance, hey, school's closed, so here's the option. I can bring him to the class. He's not going to be disruptive. He won't even hear what's going on because he'll have his own little computer and headphones. Won't be a problem. And the vast majority of my professors were 100% fine with it. It's sure, not a problem. Trying to think of what else. If you're going to do undergrad or if you're going to do graduate school of any form and you are a single mom, do not hesitate to take advantage of resources that are available to you, and do not let your pride keep you from taking advantage of those resources. And here's what I mean. At no other time in my life have I ever qualified for Medicaid or food stamps, but while I was enrolled in school full time, I did. And so I used those resources because my attitude was 10 years prior to me starting undergrad, I paid into this system. So now I need this system to help assist me in achieving the next threshold in my life. I've already paid into it. I'm going to use it. There were times that professors had to sign off on certain documentation for me, confirming that I was in school. They never hesitated. They never asked questions. I was never judged. In fact, they were more impressed with, wow, she's doing whatever she's got to do to get this done. Danny is absolutely right. Your grades matter. Even though I waited to attend undergrad 10 years after I graduated from high school, my grades in high school, my SAT scores in high school, even then, resulted in me getting academic scholarships. In undergrad, participate in on-campus activities, do community service, keep those grades up. I graduated cum laude. I was the speaker at my undergrad graduation. All of my schools are brick and mortar. Online was not an option, particularly not in the areas that I wanted to focus on. So I was that presidential scholar. I was that speaker at graduation, and those grades combined with extracurricular activities made me super desirable to all of those schools. And I was fortunate enough that I didn't have to reach out to them, they reached out to me. If you're going to take out loans, make sure you take out the government loans, if at all possible. Do everything you can to try and avoid private loans. Typically, you're going to get better interest rates with governmental loans. In addition, if you take out governmental loans, you are eligible for certain loan forgiveness programs. For example, as a law student, if you participate and practice law in a public service area, such as with a governmental entity or a nonprofit organization, and you work with that organization or you work with a series of them over a 10-year period, after 10 years, your loans are completely forgiven. A lot of kids that I went to school with did not realize that, and they graduated from law school with over $100,000 in debt, not realizing, okay, well, maybe what you should do under the circumstances is work in public service for a while to get that loan debt forgiven. You're not going to make as much money initially, but because you're doing it through governmental loans and you're doing the public service, they'll base it on your income, which saves you in the long term. That's just pretty much it. I try to let everybody know, every woman, every minority that I ever speak with, I try to make sure that they are aware of my stance. And when I usually phrase it this way, people get it. You're willing to pay $25,000 for a car. You're willing to get your hair and your nails done. You're willing to buy yourself nice clothes. If you're willing to invest in something that depreciates almost immediately upon you getting it, be willing to invest in your education, which is something that's always going to result in your life reaching some sort of appreciation. So if you're willing to invest in all of those excess things, I need you to be willing to invest in yourself. And that's pretty much it.
Thanks for sharing your story, Chillax and Chico. Okay, so that's pretty much all the panelists we have today. Thanks everyone for sharing. So let me go to the chat for questions. Now, I do know that some people want to join and also add their input or their suggestions or advice. So make sure you hit me up on IG, okay? On IG at Danny Robertson YT, and from there I will actually send you out a link, okay? Due to recent happenings on YouTube, I am not dropping the link in the actual chat, okay? So you have to actually reach out to me on IG to get the actual link. The sneaky link, I think you wanted to chime in on something else.
Yeah, I saw some comments in the chat. They were talking about pretty much re-entering the workforce and applying for jobs. There is a really good course on LinkedIn about the application process and how it has changed with the input of AI, artificial intelligence, into our systems. So you guys that are entering the workforce, changing jobs, things of those natures, when you are applying for these jobs, first I would say take the course or just listen to it, see what you can get from it. And the second thing I would say is the way we used to apply for positions does not exist any longer. And you will potentially be looked over on for specific jobs if you do not format your resume correctly. So it has nothing to do with what's actually on the resume as much as it has to do with how it's formatted as well. So if you don't save it in a specific file type and you go ahead and you upload it to a site, to a job, to a site for whatever company you're applying to, if it's not saved in a specific file type, they can't even read it how they used to read it, right? That's one thing. Also, what you want to do, I know a lot of the times when we're listing our requirements and things of that nature, we're using a lot of words. And those things are not being picked up by the resume systems and the hiring system as they used to. I have been out of the human resources system for a few years now, but I do know that the systems are changing as AI is being implemented. And I don't want to see anybody or hear about anybody losing out on any opportunities that they know that they should be getting. So definitely, if you don't do anything else, go listen to how we're being accepted for jobs and positions. You need to be putting numbers on your resume. So instead of saying I've supervised um, I've supervised multiple employees on a high level, you want to say I've supervised 100 to 250 employees at this level of a business. And you want to make sure that you're looking at the company that you're applying to and using their verbiage. A lot of that has changed. And yeah, you can potentially miss out on a lot if you do not know how to just simply upload your resume. One other thing I wanted to add to what Danny spoke about earlier, Danny talked about drop shipping and things like that for, getting products out there without having to have the actual product and things of that nature. A lot of what is coming to new with this edition of AI is digital products. So you want to look into how you can integrate a digital product into your service as well.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, we also have Nicole made it with us today. Well, I don't know. I don't think it's Nicole. Okay, I don't want to mispronounce your name. Okay, but let me go ahead and bring you on here. Okay, so can you share with us your story? You're muted.
Hey, sorry about that. I'm driving.
Oh, that's okay.
All right, thank you for having me. So I kind of missed everything that was going on just because life happened over here. But I came in to talk about nursing. So where my journey actually started was after I became a mom of 3. A lot of people think that just because they're single parents that they can't achieve their dreams, but I decided that I didn't want to be a statistic at the time. I had 3 young kids and I needed to do something with my life so that I could provide for them. I didn't want to depend on the system and I wanted us to be comfortable. So what I did is I actually went for a job as a CNA to start out. And I did that just short term because I felt for me, in order to make me a good, well-rounded nurse, I needed to start at the bottom. So I did that. I went through an LPN program, which was a year. I got my LPN license. And then for nurses who are LPNs and RNs, they can tell you that there is rank that is pulled between the 2 different degrees of learning, because the LPN has a smaller scope of practice than the RN does, and there's a lot of things that they can't do. So I kind of got tired of RNs pulling rank on me, even though I knew that my skill set was better than a lot of RNs. So I went back and I went into an advanced placement program. And at the time when I did it, I was kind of lucky because the programs have gotten a lot more competitive now, and the grades have gotten a lot more higher than when I was in school. When I was in school, a passing grade for us was a 78. And I know now a lot of the schools are making it so that you have to have somewhere in the low 80s in order to pass your classes. So I got accepted and I went back to school 2 years full time. And by the time I did that, I actually had 4 kids, and I was still a single mom. I was leaving my home at 4:30 in the morning to get my kids to daycare. I had a really good daycare provider at the time who would take my youngest child early. I would have to go to work before clinicals, before class. I'd have to be at clinicals, class, and then afterwards, I would have to go back to work. During that time, it was really hard, and I found that the work wasn't as easy as I thought it was going to be because I was an LPN. I thought, oh, this is going to be a breeze for me. But because you go into these programs with so much working knowledge already, it made things a lot harder. And I remember on my first day of class, the instructor told us, she had all the LPNs raise their hand, and she told us, she said, most of you will fail. And we were insulted, but she said, a lot of LPNs come into school with the same knowledge that they had in the real world. And what is going on in school, what we're teaching you in school is not what's going on out there, which is very true. NCLEX world is very different than the real world. So I kind of struggled initially because I had so much going on. Being a single mom, working 2 jobs full time, and again, being a single mom. But I honestly learned that talking to your instructors can be really beneficial, because I found that they really are there to help you. And when they say to you, come to us, use us as resources. If you failed an exam, it's important for you to sit and go over each exam. Even if it's just a point, you might find that in going over the exam, you find an extra point or 2 that the instructor overlooked. And, that can help boost your grade. Putting interest into your work, sitting there with the instructors and doing this shows them that you're dedicated to the work that you want to do, and you're not just in it just to get a nursing degree and get out there and start working just to make money. So really gaining that the knowledge base and knowing how to put it to work. Also asking a lot of questions of the instructors when you really don't understand things. When you're in nursing school, pride cannot be something that you wear on your sleeve because instructors don't like that. You have to be very humble because you learn very quickly in these nursing programs that it can be very unfair. And these instructors hold their life in your hands pretty much, because it's not as though if you fail a class, they'll let you retake it the next term. If you fail a class in nursing school, you're out of the program. And that's a lot of money wasted, a lot of time wasted, and just energy and everything put into the program. So my advice for anybody who wants to go into nursing, please don't think of it as, oh, I'm going into it for the money, because you will get burned out very, very quickly. You have to decide that you're going into medicine to take care of people. If you're not, if you don't want to be on the clinical side, at bedside, then going into management is something that you might want to think about. And I can let you guys know a lot more places nowadays are looking for bachelor's degrees as entry-level degrees. So I don't know where you guys live, but here in Massachusetts, a lot of the hospitals are forcing their RNs, the associate degree RNs, to go back to school to get their bachelor's degrees, or a lot of them, they run the risk of losing their job. So for anyone thinking about getting into nursing, that's another thing that you should think about. Just if you can afford to, going straight to your bachelor's degree and then thinking about graduate degrees after that.
Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
So does anyone have any questions for any of the panelists? All the panelists are up here now. So does anyone have any questions for the panelists? Okay, so I actually need to look and see. So Auntie Dr. Cynthia, you had a question, or you wanted to chime in?
Yeah, I had a quick question for Chilaxin about the LSAT. And then I wanted to talk briefly about brick and mortar. That there's some misconceptions about online. Still, there's a stigma that has traversed the universe since the late 90s and early 2000s. But the first thing first, I wanted to ask Chilaxin about the LSAT. You said that you just wanted to know what it was about, and that really piqued my interest immediately, because that's what usually makes me think about doing things, is with, I wonder what that's like. I wanted to know maybe what were some of the questions on the LSAT. Did you go to any pre-exams or anything like that, or any pre-training to take the test?
Okay, so I will say I don't necessarily recommend this route to everyone. Because I've been repeatedly told, especially by classmates of mine in law school, that I was just a weirdo. I didn't prep because my intention was to get my PhD. So I did not take any classes to prep. I did not bother looking to see, because you can go to the website and you can actually look at some questions from previously administered LSATs.
Okay.
To kind of get an idea of what's on it. I didn't do any of that. I just took it because I was curious, and then I found out, I can get a fee waiver, so it's not going to cost me any money to take it. I just want to see what's on it. I'm just curious. I've done that all my life. I've done a lot of things just out of curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of logic, reasoning, taking information that they've given you to draw certain conclusions. Now, keep in mind, we're talking about me being in this profession for almost 20 years now. So could I tell you an exact question off of that exam? Absolutely not.
You answered it pretty well when you said reasoning and logic and things of that nature.
Very much to me similar to an IQ test, maybe. But I also think I did so well on it because I was not stressed. I was not worried. I was just there for the experience, and it was what it was.
Yes. That's a good rule of thumb for people who would enter school, and not to necessarily be apprehensive, but to just immerse themselves into the experience of learning, and not stress so much.
Even in what I do now, and Danny and maybe 2 or 3 other people in the community know exactly what I do now. I am still a licensed attorney. I am still in the legal profession, but I am not just an attorney. Even with what I do now, I still learn. I've learned American Sign Language just because I wanted to. I've learned Korean. I've learned Spanish. I take classes in IT. I just learned the things that are interesting to me. And I think
had the benefit
having that
of
background.
both. Yeah, having had the benefit of both online. In fact, I've had 3 experiences. I've had completely online, I've had completely brick and mortar, and I've had a hybrid, which is called low residency. I would recommend that people discipline themselves in an online environment because you are virtually alone. You don't have that interaction with other classmates, and you have to discipline yourself to do the work. In brick and mortar, you do have that ability to bounce off of other students in the classroom, but it also takes a certain amount of discipline. It's a different kind of discipline. I had, again, in that third opportunity, was able to be at residence and in my PhD program at Gwinnett Mercy University, which is a university in Pennsylvania, brick and mortar university in Pennsylvania, where I spent weekends and weeks, a weekend, then a week, and then another week in another country with that program. So I was able to have, and some online, so I was able to have that benefit. But the number one thing I would tell people, if they're going to do an online experience, have an online experience, is to discipline themselves for the ability to work alone. Study. There's a tendency to think that you have more time than you really do to get things done when you're in an online experience. You're not fooling anybody because you're not in front of a professor, literally. So don't think it's necessarily an easier time because you're online. And that's what I wanted to point out.
And Danny, just to piggyback on what Dr. Cynthia has said, there are certain majors and professions that you absolutely are going to have the option to do a hybrid or online or brick and mortar. My particular areas of practice, you cannot get online. You can't do it online because of the methodology that's used in teaching those courses. You have to be able to interact with the people in person because the differences matter in those interactions when it comes to that particular education and field. But I'll also chime in. There is an additional benefits to brick and mortar that you can't necessarily get online. It depends on the online school. Some of them do a much better job than others. But one, if you're going to attend a school, you know the area that you want to work in geographically, then you should attend a school in that geographic location. The reason why is because the vast majority of the alumni and connections that you need are also going to be in that area. And you will have constant ability to contact the alumni to get assistance with things such as clerkships, internships, whatever it is. Alumni do reach out and help each other out. I've done it on several occasions for students. I've mentored several law students locally because that's where my school, my education took place. Career resources, use your career resources center. You will be amazed if they see that you're actively trying to pursue a career in your field. They will give you advance notice sometimes of opportunities for on-campus interviews, for even interviews that are off campus that are taking place somewhere else. They'll tell you, hey, you really should go to this particular event and here's our alumni that are going to be there. Speak to them, see if that might work in your favor with getting that particular thing. Law school is a totally different, unique animal. I won't lie to you, anyone. It is not a easy thing to deal with. It is highly competitive, but at the end of the day, just like with any other profession, the only person you're in competition with realistically is yourself. And as long as you keep that mindset, there's nothing that's preventing you from being successful. You determine what your level of success is, and then you aim for that. You don't have to worry about whatever everybody else's opinion of what is successful is. What matters is your own.
Well, I will say that, my school is like a brick and mortar for like graduate school. However, as far as that debate versus like online versus like in person, I will say that before the pandemic, people probably had like more negative thoughts about like online learning, but the pandemic has pretty much taught us that a lot of things can be done remotely from home without impacting performance. So with that being said, I definitely won't get into like that whole debate about online versus in person.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
I definitely understand that there are some people out there thinking that, it's online, that is less of a degree, or it's less work or less effort, and that's
no.
The pandemic showed us sometimes online you can be overworked and like get burned out even from online, like working remotely, because sometimes people don't even gauge or understand like, you're home, but that doesn't mean you have all the free time in the world. You still need free time. To me, when classes were online during that time, it seemed like some professors were forgetting that it was like too much stuff was being put out like to do. So to me, in person was actually easier, less work. So yeah, I definitely understand when people want to correct that misunderstanding of online being easier.
If that's how that came across, that was not what my intention was. My intention was, in my
that wasn't what
area,
I was getting at.
Online is just not even possible.
The stigma, it was actually years and years in the making. It was a culmination of when online studies began, when the push began for online. It was before the 21st century, actually. And what happened was so-called traditional brick and mortar colleges and universities began to get a little threatened. So just like anything else, there became a drive to stigmatize online education, and also because a lot of these colleges were mills, but not all. But this is what was propagated, because of course, when people are going to school online, or not in person, then these colleges and universities aren't seeing any new students, any new money, any new tuition, and things like that. So they perpetuated this notion that these online colleges were taking advantages of the students. What happens is you didn't have to take the testing, which has already been proven, like the SATs and things of that nature were historically racist. And a lot of people were beginning to go to colleges and universities, and veterans and things like that, and people like that who weren't able to do it before. And so, but as the years went on, so now in the 21st century, no major university worth its salt. I mean, your Harvards, your Princetons, your other universities in Pennsylvania and things like that. No major university worth its salt will not have an online presence of some sort. They're going to offer something online as well now, because they realize they couldn't keep competing in that way and keeping the stigmatization going for long. So now a lot of the major colleges and universities offer online educational programs for students. And I definitely did not want to bring up the subject like that because of anything you said, Sholex, and it wasn't anything like that. It's just that I wanted to bring out the fact that there was online colleges were stigmatized for a reason, not necessarily because what they provided was what's the word, less than brick and mortar or anything like that. Yeah, it wasn't anything you said.
Can I add to that topic just from the entrepreneur perspective? When selecting your brick and mortar versus an online business, the one thing that you want to think to yourself is, do I need to look someone into their eyes in order to sell this product, right? So if you have a product that you don't need to be physically involved with your customer, then you can start with a online business. However, please understand that your business in today's day will always exist as both. Technically, your brick and mortar is yourself, right? You're going to go out into this world as your business. You're going to talk about your business and things like that. So you have to think of yourself as your brick and mortar. But as I think that was Shalaxon just said, or Auntie Doctor, I'm sorry, I don't know who just said that. It's going to be a combination of both. You're going to have to go on the internet. You're going to have an internet presence, and your brick and mortar type, sometimes it may be yourself. What was more important to me about selecting a location when you have to pick a brick and mortar type, you want to make sure that you're in a location that matches your business. I brought up the example of my business earlier. It deals a lot with family and end of life planning and retirement and things like that. So when I was thinking of how I wanted my business to look, where did I want it to be registered and things of that nature, I have two locations. My business partner is in one location. I am in another location. So we're bi-coastal, correct? At this point, we want to choose the best location of the two of us for our business type. I'm in Las Vegas. That does not sound like retirement and, in life planning. That sounds like fun, turn up. My business partner is located in Florida. So my business is located in Florida. It's registered in Florida because that is the town, that is what my business needs. That is more of a retirement area. People go to Florida to have those end of lifetimes and things of that nature. So you want to make sure that where you are matches your business. If you are going to do a brick and mortar, it needs to be location. And with that will help you anticipating your business registration fees and requirements, because those are going to vary by state. So that was what I wanted to add to that brick and mortar versus online topic.
Thank you for chiming in. And we have Latasha. She says, really want my girls to go back to school, but they are the ones who have to be ready. This is some great insight. I would say this. Definitely, that's a great point. I'm not trying to force them or just letting them decide, because they have to be the ones to actually complete the coursework, right? So what are their passions? Like, what do they want to do with their life? What are their passions? What do they like to do? I will look into that, because not everything requires them to actually go to school. As we see on the panel, we have some people with training like Ladybug Trucker, with this whole training to be get her CDL license. And then we also have an entrepreneur on the panel, like starting their own business. So there's different avenues, right, and paths that people can take. So I would just try to figure out what they're passionate about, and then from there guiding them towards that passion. Because maybe school is not something that they actually want to do, but there's something they want to do, and you can help guide them towards that. And then once they can see that they can actually, make money from something they're passionate about doing or wanting to do, they might actually be motivated at that point. But if you're trying to motivate them towards something they're not interested in is not going to work. Anybody else want to chime in on this, what she posted?
Can I say something? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So with that, my daughter, she went to college for 2 years, and the second year it was overwhelming to her. She couldn't handle it. So she decided to do she took a year off, and in that year she tried to figure out what she wanted to do. So now she goes to school online. I can't remember the name of this. I think it's DeVry or something like that, and she loves it. She's only taken like maybe 2 classes a semester, but it's slower for her, and she's taking her time with it, and she's doing really well compared to when she went. She thought that she had to be with her friends and go on campus and stay there with them, but it was just too much for her. And once we figured that out, she's enjoying it. She goes to school online. She got her little job, and she's happy and content right now. So yeah, you're right. It's like the traditional college might not be for everyone. Hello?
Can I chime in on that also, Danny?
Yes.
So it's a very true statement. I have a friend who was trying to send her daughter to nursing school, and I mean, she even went as far as filling out the application. The girl took the test, she took the T's, passed it, and then that was it. She had no desire to be in school. And I told my friend, I was like, sometimes I think pushing our kids to do what we want is more of a detriment to them than we think. For me, I didn't know what I wanted to do until I was in my 20s. I initially started out with in business management, and I have no interest in business management. I prefer working with people. And I've always told my kids, if school is not for you, there are a lot of trade programs out there that people can get into. And if you look around now, they're opening up a lot more programs for people who don't have that desire to go to school. Here they have apprenticeship programs for plumbers and pipe workers and everything like that. And the programs don't require you to have a high school diploma. And they do help you start. If you're starting from ground level, they do help you to start from ground level to make it to the end of their program.
If Danny, is it okay for me to chime in?
I have a question. I want to add in. Go ahead. I'll just go back to Nicole later. Go ahead and chime in.
Okay. So this is going to sound really weird coming from me, but I tell people all the time, you do not have to go to college to make a good living and to have a job that you enjoy. Some of the best paying jobs in the area that I live in are jobs that you can get simply by attending technical school and getting that on-hands training. And that on-hands training will lead you to work in different companies and businesses that you otherwise would not have access to, because they are connected with your technical schools. Aircraft, sheet metal, plumbing, carpentry. These are all things that you make excellent money doing. And they don't require that you go to a university and get a 4-year degree. In addition to that, it means you don't have the debt of a 4-year degree. So I'm a firm believer in one, there is no timeline that you have to follow when it comes to your education. You follow the timeline that works for you and your life. And I'm a firm believer in, if at all possible, do something that you love. Because as long as you're doing something that you love, you will always be successful. And it doesn't matter if it's something with a 4-year degree, a graduate degree, a technical college, or even hands-on apprenticeship. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you're happy, you enjoy it, and you love going to do it every day.
Exactly. And for Nicole, what advice would you give people out there that want to actually complete nursing school, but they have children, right? They're a single parent, they have children, but they also want to complete nursing school. What are some hurdles that you had to and obstacles and things? What advice would you give people?
Time management. That is a big one because you're trying to balance kids, work, school, and then study time. And study time is something that you definitely have to have. I found actually getting into a study group helped me a lot. We used to get up at like 2-3 in the morning and study. We would study until maybe 11 o'clock, go to bed, and then wake up early in the morning, get on the phone and study again. And I found that really made a difference for me, as opposed to me trying to do it myself and, trying to complete this thing alone. When you're going through that, there's a lot, because of the way that you have to apply the information. There's so much information there that sometimes there are things that you miss. And if you have a partner there with you, or partners, there are other things that they'll be able to point out, and mechanisms of actions that you might miss that your partners can tell you. And even with being able to manage your time, you can get tips and tricks from your fellow classmates on how to do it, because a lot of people who are going back to school now are parents. A lot of them are single parents. So I think, forming a study group with peers, with, other students that are like you is very helpful.
Thank you for those tips and advice.
You're welcome.
And I have someone else joining us, Girl Cole. But before you join us, Girl Cole, I definitely want to touch on what was stated earlier. Not everyone wants to spend years and years in school, like going all the way up to the PhD level or doing a degree. Or they're not even interested in those programs or those occupations or careers, and they actually want to do something that doesn't require it. So I want to just give a few examples of what's offered at trade schools. And these trade school programs are usually certifications, licenses, and things like that, that you can obtain in a shorter amount of time, but still have something that you can earn a living from, right? But yeah, make sure that you're also still passionate about it. I'm just going to go over a few things here. We have welding, automotive technology, diesel technology, collision repair, CNC machining, marine technology, motorcycle mechanic, HVAC, healthcare administration, information technology, dental hygienist or hygiene, criminal justice, business, photography. Criminal justice, that usually sometimes most of it likely is going to community college or something like a degree program. So I don't know why this here, but it could be other programs. I don't know. Say business, photography, cosmetology, like we go for cosmetology, or they go for nails and hair, culinary, like being a chef. Then right here it says massage therapy. Okay. So it's just showing like a dental assistant, massage therapist, makeup artist, hairdresser, chef, LPN, HVAC technician, electrician, plumber, elevator mechanic, radiation therapist, IT technician, and we already discussed, of course, the CDL, like a truck driver. So there's actually thousands of things that can be listed. So I would just say check with your local trade school for their programs or you can probably complete in less time than it takes to get an actual degree. Okay. And yeah, make sure you're still passionate about whatever program you decide. Girl Cole, what did you want to actually chime in to add to the discussion?
Sure. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. Can you hear me well?
Yes.
Okay, good. I just wanted to state, first of all, thank you all for your wisdom and your knowledge. This panel is truly what I live for. I just love it. And I'm really appreciative that this was the discussion today. And I just wanted to say it's a good way to segue in on what you just said, Danny, in terms of trade schools. Well, here in Massachusetts, I just wanted to state this so that people can really put some belief into themselves. But here in Massachusetts, as a lot of people know, it's like a gateway into colleges. And so with that being said, naturally, those of us who are educated in Massachusetts were always taught, college is the way, which the majority of people here are college educated. But myself, I didn't go to college right away. I wanted to find myself in another niche. And so what I did was I became a construction worker a very long time ago. And in doing that, I would go with the gentlemen to watch them bid on projects, bid on these construction jobs and become contractors. And so I said, well, if they can do it, I can do it too. So I started to mess around with the different contracts, the government contracts. And I want people to know that you really can write your own proposals. Okay. And when you think of government contracts, it's not just in one particular sector. I mean, you could bring fruits and vegetables to your public schools. You can fill the vending machines at the jailhouses. I mean, you could launder clothes for companies. There's so many things that you could do. And I just wanted to state, when I went to school for construction, it was very, very, very helpful for me because it taught me that I didn't want to, be in an office building. I love to be outside, and today, I drive a city bus here in Boston. The MBTA, it's like a really huge, we have like about maybe 12 garages, and I do that. And I also write up proposals and just get my own contract. So no matter which state you live in, you want to be registered through sam.gov. FedBiz Ops is a really great option to go on. You can go on there and just kind of get comfortable with things that you see. It doesn't matter where, the business that the government needs, because they'll buy that. They'll buy services, they'll buy goods. If you feel you have a great cleaning crew, you could subcontract, while you work your full-time job. So I just wanted to say that I truly believe that we have a strong group here, and I just want you ladies to believe in yourself. Get comfortable, write your own proposals, show up when these people are bidding on these different jobs that you're interested in. Because the truth of the matter is, because we're women, they're going to give the job to us before they give it to Joe Schmo. You know what I'm trying to say? They be worried when they see people like us that want these jobs. So continue to believe in yourself, continue to persevere, and, reach those goals. And once you get a goal reached, continue to keep going. Like, sky is the limit, and we don't have to follow everyone else's blueprint. A lot of people here want to have a 3-family home and, live in one sector and rent out the rest. I mean, that's a blueprint, but it may not be your blueprint. You might want to fill up a building with transitional assistance, put 2 buildings and put, Airbnb tenants in there. Sky's the limit, and the government will give us those funds to build from the on hearing these success stories and networking with my sisters, and just I am just like all smiles today. This was everything. Thank you so much, you all.
Thanks for coming up and chiming in.
You're welcome.
Does anyone else want to ask her a question or chime in on what we discussed? Anybody in the audience, if you have any questions, we're going to spend the last part of this live answering any questions from any of the panelists that you have. Let us know any questions, okay? And as far as the panelists, if there's any final statements or anything else you want to add in that you may have forgot to add in, feel free to do so.
Okay, I'm going to just say this without going into the detail as to why I know this. I'll just say that in my legal profession, I participated in and was part of the awarding of contracts for governmental bids that we would put out occasionally for things. One, take advantage of your small business administration. I don't know why more people don't do that, but they will help you with so much information. They will help you with the steps you need to take to build your business credit if you don't have it, to get the insurance policies that you need in order to get governmental contracts. They will help you in so many ways, but you have to reach out to them. There are also excellent networking opportunities. 2, local, state governmental contracts, 100%. In most local locations, there is a goal to award a certain percentage of those contracts to minority and women-owned businesses. Most of the time, those goals are never reached because you don't have women and minority-owned businesses applying for them. But if you apply and you have what you need in order to actually accomplish the work that's being bid out, you're almost guaranteed to get those. So if you are looking at that area, sign up for the bid posting list for your local city. Sign up for the bid post list for the state. Sign up for the bid post list for several cities in a certain geographical location, and put in those bids and make sure you note that you are a minority or woman-owned business, because you'll get the contract. All you have to do then is just make sure you follow through and you actually do the work and you do it well. That's all you got to do. Lastly, parents, don't make your kids go to college if they don't want to. Some of the best paying jobs in my area right now are aircraft sheet metal, aircraft maintenance, plumbing, various construction fields, and they pay extremely well. And there is a shortage of individuals in those areas. So they, in many cases, can almost just demand what they want. Your kid doesn't have to go to college. Your kid could go to tech school. Your kid could just apprentice with somebody in one of those fields and get the training they need to pass whatever certification and tests they need. Encourage them to do that. I have a son. My son asked me if I expected him to go to law school, and I told him absolutely not. In fact, I would tell you not to, because I know it doesn't match his personality. Whatever your kids decide they want to do, just encourage them. They're going to be fine. Trust me. Just encourage them to pursue whatever that field is in whatever capacity they're trying to pursue it. You'll be amazed at what they'll do for you.
Thanks for sharing. And yeah, definitely don't force anyone to choose a career path, because that's that might be something that you're interested in, but they are their own person with their own personality and their own goals and passions and things like that. So you have to definitely take their what they want to do in consideration, and they are the one that will have to complete the coursework at the end of the day to get those grades or to accomplish that goal. Anybody else want to chime in on anything?
I'll give my final thoughts. For one final thought, I just want to say, outside of building your business and having your job and all of the things that we do, I want us to make sure that we are taking care of ourselves out there, ladies. Self-care is going to be very important and the foundation of everything that you do. So use whatever benefits you have, resources that are around you, to get the care that you need for yourself. I use my benefits at work for everything. I could get a massage every month. I get gym memberships. I use all of my benefits. I use every single one of them. Women's History Month, please double check in on your health as well. Make sure your mental health is up there. And the last thing I want to talk about is multiple streams of incomes. While you have that business, while you have that job, think about having multiple streams of income. You should be having at least 4 to 5 incomes every month, whether it be your job and your business and wherever else you make or acquire money from. You need to think about all of the income that's coming in while we're thinking about all this output. We as women, we tend to output a lot. Money, emotion, ourselves, and all of that. So while we're thinking about all of these things that we can output into the world, I just encourage everybody to think about that income as well and what is input into us from what we're giving out. So that's my final thoughts.
I want to also add on to what someone mentioned about, being minorities and women applying for certain things. I wanted to touch on that as well, as far as like the scholarships and fellowships. Definitely when you're applying for scholarships or fellowships, look for the ones for minorities, especially like minority women, and apply for those, because obviously you meet the qualifications. And the higher up you go, the less you see us in certain fields and like graduate programs, depending on the graduate program. So sometimes it can be less competitive if you're like, there's only a few Black women in the cohort, and then there's a fellowship offered. So definitely look into fellowships as well, and it's just specifically for minority women. Does anyone else want to chime in on anything?
Since I came last, can I chime in one last time? I'll be quick. So I wanted to say, someone in the comment section had mentioned that our credit generally holds us back from doing a lot of things. You'll be amazed at just how quick, and I'm not exaggerating, how quickly you can clean up your credit when you want to. You can really manifest that. I mean, simply by reaching out to these credit agencies, they'll wipe out nearly 75, if not the whole entire debt. So you gotta just start diving into these debts that you have, emailing these creditors, things of this nature. And I'm sure the ladies on the panel can attest to the fact that in business, ladies, you're not using your personal your personal credit. You're using business credit. And I believe that was our auntie that said, and if I'm mistaken, I apologize in advance, but in terms of the SBA, you definitely want to utilize them because they have mentors. So you can have a mentorship for free, and they will be there to guide you and hold your hands and understand your goals and help you to accomplish them. They'll help you figure out if you are in a geological location of a military base. If you are in a disadvantage, you don't have to be in the heart, in the hood, but if you are in a region where there are people that are disadvantaged, then your business will qualify for certain set-asides. So getting with the SBA, as the previous panelist just said, is an excellent way to go about tackling your personal credit and lifting up your business credit. Okay, so it definitely it can be done, and all you have to do is want to do it. And I'm telling you, 1-2 more panels later, you'll be speaking about your success stories on how you're breaking ground, or if you're not opening a physical location, at your success rates. Things will turn around for you, I promise, in business credit and personal credit.
Definitely. And speaking of credit, I definitely want to say that's definitely an important topic. There's a lot of like financially illiterate like people, and that can be detrimental to your whole life, as far as like your credit score, saving and everything like that. So it's definitely to try to get to the point where you're like financially stable. You never know when an emergency will happen or life circumstances. So one thing I do recommend for anybody that's on the path to try to live a better life as far as financially, especially becoming financially literate, to join this group. I'm going to actually share this group. Hold on. This group is Dream Catchers Live Richer with the Budgetnista. Okay, Budgetnista. Some people probably already are in this group, but this group is mostly Black women from all around the world. And they give you advice on fixing your credit, any advice you need as far as financial literacy or anything. These people will definitely help you like with the best advice on that. So this, trust me, like when you join this group and you actually pay attention to the advice given and things like that, things will definitely improve with you in your life. Okay, I'm telling you. Like credit score and everything else. But yeah, as far as like disputing things in your credit report that are on there and boosting your credit score, because I think anybody had the worst feeling of applying for something and you get denied because you have poor credit. So at some point you have to realize, hey, I don't want that to be me. I want whatever I apply for, I will get like approved for it because my credit score is not going to stop me. That's something that can hold back a lot of people. And that's like a stereotype, like, oh, that person is Black, they gotta have bad credit. Okay, let's try to get away from some of these stereotypes and actually like go against the grain and like improve that credit score. So when you walk into that car dealership, your credit score is not gonna be like embarrassing. You're gonna be like, oh, pull my credit score, pull it, because I'm walking out of here with what I want, or I'm getting this phone I want, whatever that you're gonna qualify without having these like down payments, all this other stuff they're trying to do. So yeah, definitely join this group. I'm gonna post a link in the chat. Does anybody else want to chime in?
I would like to say I really, really, really enjoyed this group. I looked so forward to it when you first brought up the subject, and then when you invited me. I just want to say thank you to everybody who contributed, and I've learned so much, and I've been in the private chat with Chillax, and she's got me wanting to go back to school, damn it. I'm ready to go back to school now. I'm ready to go back. If I could get some money, I'm going back to school. I'm going to law school, damn it. I'll be like a 73-year-old attorney. A young attorney. Oh boy, I really enjoyed this. I'm going to have to step down now, and I just wanted to say, Danny, thank you for having this panel. I got so much out of it, and I'm sure that everybody who attended got a lot out of it as well.
Thank you for coming up and sharing your story. I appreciate everyone for coming up. Does anyone want to? I'm going to close out. If anyone else has anything else to say? Does anyone else want to chime in on anything? Did we forget anything?
Oh, you know what, Danny? I just thought about something. Anybody who is going to go to college, university, grad school, whatever you do, make sure you have a good professor, or actually probably it'd be better to have at least 2 good professors that you connect with, that you communicate with, and that you can use as references once you finish your education, because those are some of the best references you can have, and they are also some of the best people that can connect you with other people.
And yeah, speaking of references, make sure that when you're in school, you're actually like getting to know your professors, because you're also going to need your professors to send like recommendation letters. If you're trying to get into graduate school, they're going to say, oh, you need 3 recommendation letters. And if you never talk to any of your professors or got along with them or anything, it's going to be hard for you to get those 3 recommendation letters. Sometimes they want academic recommendations, sometimes outside of that, but sometimes they will say, well, 2 academic and 1 maybe employment. And sometimes all academic. So you definitely want to make sure you're also speaking to professors or being able to get those recommendation letters as requirement. So network with professors or whoever you're around. Try to be positive or, get these good positive connections, because you never know, you might need a recommendation letter or something. Does anybody else want to chime in? Okay, let me look at the audience really quickly to make sure there's no questions, and then we'll close up. Just a second. Let me scroll through the audience really quickly. Okay, so thank you to Dr. Cynthia for sharing her journey of lifelong learning. Of course, that serves as a beacon of hope, proving that it's never too late to go back to school and expand our horizons. And it looks like she's thinking about going back further, even for law school. Okay, and let us not forget the inspiring tales of Ladybug Trucker, who found her calling on the open road as being a truck driver, and told us how you can become a truck driver just by even going to a company and like going through their internal training program, right? And Girl Code, who talked about writing proposals for contracts in her construction. To Lex and Chica's story of resilience as a single mother pursuing a career in law. Nicole's journey of balancing motherhood with obtaining her PSN, she's RN. She reminds us that with perseverance and dedication, we can overcome any challenge that comes our way. And as we reflect on the stories shared today, let us carry forward the lessons of courage, resilience, and unwavering belief in ourselves. Let us remember that it's never too late to chase our goals, to pursue our passions, and to make our dreams a reality. So to every woman listening, know that your journey is unique. Your dreams are valid, important. You are an important person, and what you want to do with your life is important. You have to make sure that you treat it as such, as something important, not just like an option, but something that you prioritize as a priority, and that your potential is limitless, and you're the only one that can kind of like restrict your potential or put limits on yourself. So don't put limits on what you can do. Okay, and if you want to actually do something, you have to actually take an action step and actually put effort and action into it, and not just think about it, but make a plan and pursue that plan. But yeah, no matter where you are in life, no matter what obstacles you face, remember that you have the power to create the future that you want. Okay, so that's all for today. I hope that y'all learned something. If you have any other questions, make sure you put it in the comments under the video. And I thank you to all the panelists. Thank you so much for coming up here and sharing your stories and spending your time on this Sunday afternoon with the audience and myself to inspire and motivate and empower other women within this community. I know we come on here a lot of times for mess, but this is showing that we can also join together to help each other in our real lives to pursue our passions and goals as well. So as always, it's always good to have a balance. There's a time for play, and there's also a time for work. There's a time for mess, and there's a time for, just real life, getting your stuff done. Okay, and priorities. So yeah, have a great weekend, everybody. And I definitely want to give a shout out to everybody that supported the channel today as well. So shout out to Girl Code. Thank you so much for the Cash App. I definitely do appreciate it. And again, I thank you for joining the panel. So shout out to you. And let me actually go shout out to everybody else on that paying funding for supporting the channel. Shout out to everybody in the audience that is supporting the channel by hitting that like button. I definitely do appreciate it. Thank y'all for being here. This isn't a messy live, and y'all still came, even though it's not messy. So I definitely appreciate it. Again, everybody knows the Avengers. We are not like a one-trick pony. We can do all sorts of stuff. We can cover all sorts of topics if we choose to. Okay. Yeah. So let me actually give shout outs as far as, let's see here. Sharon, thank you so much for joining the membership on this backup channel. Happy 16th month anniversary to my mod Tribal. She says, thank you for hosting this conversation, Danny. Welcome to all the panelists, and thank you for your contributions to this important topic. And happy 16th month anniversary to you. Thank you to Working Through for joining this backup channel membership, and Chi-Town as well for joining the backup channel membership. I appreciate it. Melanie Jones said so. Check out her channel too and subscribe. She says, Avengers salute, dropping those swords. Great content. Oh, thank you so much, Melanie. Also, we have Kim Mars. Thank you so much for being a member on this channel for 2 months. She says, thank you, Danny, for having this live. You're welcome. Also, shout out to Low Key for the super tip. She says, please write down your questions at home. When the panel is finished, you will be able to ask your questions. Yes. And anybody else that has future questions, leave it under this video. Leave it under this video. And also, whatever links I have or I get from the panelists, I will post it under this video in the description box. I don't know when now, but when I get all the links, I definitely will post. Or as they come in, or if there are any. But I definitely will post my own that I have. Okay, like to the Facebook and different things that I shared. Okay, let's see. Shout out to Low Key also for joining this backup channel membership. I definitely do appreciate the support. And ladies, do you have anything final you want to say in closing?
Happy Women's Month. I'm that girl.
Yes, onto yas. That's that song. Anybody else? Well, have a great day, ladies, and I will see y'all in the next live. Bye. Bye, everybody. Have a great rest of your Sunday. Most likely, I will see y'all tomorrow. Now, I know there's a lot of drama going on, but y'all know I had to push through this live. Push through. But today, I'm going to enjoy the rest of my Sunday and relax and... yeah, because I'm tired, okay? Y'all can tell I'm tired. I'm surprised I got through this live like 3 hours. Oh, child, because y'all know I had that long live. Yesterday I had the live before that. So I'm going to enjoy the rest of my Sunday. And I hope y'all enjoy the rest of y'all Sunday as well. And hit that like button on your way out. Y'all, some of you guys. Yeah, hit that like button on your way out.